Hey, what's up everybody? In this video, I'm going to review Dastardly Cruella from the 101 Dalmatian series. Now, Dastardly Cruella is from the Disney Villain series, and Dastardly Cruella will have a special ability, which I'll get into a little bit later. Dastardly Cruella is a new Tsum for the month of October 2023, so the drop rates for this Tsum is going to be the same compared to the other ones, which is 33.33%. So let's take a look at the ability description for Dastardly Cruella. Her ability description is Cruella de Vil appears and clears Tsums in the center for big points. Now, the bonus effect that is not mentioned anywhere in the game, essentially that bonus effect is that you could connect Dastardly Cruella from far away. So it doesn't matter how far away the Tsums are, you can connect them. And you'll see that they glow as well during fever time. So as long as you are in fever time, you could connect Dastardly Cruella from far away. And before I get into the stats, if you guys are enjoying this type of content where I review Tsums, do monthly leaks, review pickup capsules, review selection boxes, please consider subscribing to this channel. Your subscription really helps me out a lot. I also created a line group, so if you need additional friends, additional coins, just need hearts for the game, consider joining this line group and then just request people to add you, and vice versa, you can add other people as well. Once you show up on each other's leaderboards, you'll be able to send hearts to one another. Alright, so let's take a look at Dastardly Cruella's stats. In order for you to activate her ability, you're going to need to clear a total of 23 copies of her. And that's kind of on the higher end, so don't expect yourself to be able to activate a lot of abilities per game. Her minimum score is 40 with a maximum score of 1,167. These numbers are not necessarily impressive, but you do have to factor in that part of her ability is that you'll be able to clear Tsums and get big points. If you want to get her to skill level 6, you're going to need to get a total of 32 copies of her, which is considered on the lower end. You can either use skill tickets or try to get a copy of her in the premium box. However, I don't recommend you to use your skill tickets or even try to get her to a decent skill level. I think that Dastardly Cruella is one of those Tsums where you could skip it, you don't really need her. Her ability isn't necessarily that great. But regardless, let's take a look at her skill chart. So at skill level 1, her skill range is going to be extra small, but at skill level 6, it's going to be extra large. Now, this skill range is in reference to Dastardly Cruella's center burst, and really that's the only thing. You're not going to see additional Dastardly Cruella appear at the higher skill level. It's only in reference to the center burst, which I'll show you a comparison a little bit later. But for right now, let's go ahead and take a look at skill level 1, 2, and 3. At skill level 1, the skill range is going to be extra small. Skill range for skill level 2 is going to be small, and skill range for skill level 3 is going to be medium. And again, this is only in reference to the center burst for Dastardly Cruella. So going into it, there are 3 tips for Dastardly Cruella, or some of the strategies that I use. So one thing is you don't want to spam the ability button for this Tsum. You want to give it a couple of seconds to make sure that the entire screen is full of Tsums before you activate the ability. And the reason for that is that during her ability time, her ability does freeze the entire screen. So what that means is that if you activate her ability and that center area is completely empty because you cleared a bunch of Tsums already, then her ability gets nullified. Nothing really happens because there's no Tsums there. So that's why I recommend you to give it a couple of seconds to make sure the entire screen is full of Tsums before activating the ability. And the second tip kind of goes with the first one, is because that this Tsum clears the center area, you want to make sure that the center area doesn't have any magic bubbles in the middle. You can have them in the left side, right side, or in the corners, that's okay. But you definitely want to avoid having these bubbles in the center area, because having these bubbles in the center area is going to drop the amount of chains that you're going to get during the ability time, therefore getting less coins as well. Now, the third tip goes with the bonus effect, and that bonus effect allows you to chain Dastardly Cruella from far away. And during fever time, that's when this goes into effect, and you'll see that Dastardly Cruella will glow. Has this like yellow aurora around her. So what you want to do is you want to focus on clearing as many Dastardly Cruellas during the fever time as much as possible to get back into fever time. Because it does take about 23, or it does take, not about, it does take 23 copies of Dastardly Cruella to activate the ability, but because you could chain Dastardly Cruella from far away during fever time, this does help out a lot. Essentially, as long as they're on the screen, you'll be able to clear them. Alright, so let me show you guys a side-by-side comparison of the abilities activated at the same time. Now there are a couple of things that are happening, so let me slow this down so I can show you what's actually happening. So first of all, once you activate her ability, there's really not much you could do. You just kind of have to wait it out until the center burst area gets cleared out. Now this is going to be the skill range. It's a little bit difficult to tell which one is bigger. It's not super obvious, and it really depends on the density of how your zooms are clustered together as well. But for these three examples, what I ended up getting is for skill level 1, I ended up with a chain of 16. And skill level 2, I got a chain of 19. And skill level 3, I got a chain of 21. So not a lot of difference here. And again, you want to just make sure that the center area is full of zooms before activating the ability. Now, if you are in fever time, what you'll want to do is you want to clear as many Dastardly Cruella right after the ability time. And then try to get back into fever time. And if you have those bubbles handy, you definitely want to burst those to get yourself back in fever time. And again, you want to burst away the ones that are in the middle area before activating the ability. Let's switch gears to take a look at skill level 4, 5, and 6. The only difference here is the skill range again. For skill level 4, the skill range is going to be large. Skill level 5, it's going to be extra large. And for skill level 6, the skill range is going to be extra large. The amount of zooms that gets turned into Dastardly Cruella will remain the same, so you won't see any difference there. What I've noticed playing at the higher skill level is that the gameplay is a lot faster. Because the clear area in the center gets bigger and bigger, you're likely going to be in fever time a lot more often, and you're also going to be using the ability a lot more often as well. So you definitely want to just focus on the pattern, which essentially is burst bubbles, get into fever time, clear a bunch of Cruella DeVilles, or in this case Dastardly Cruellas, and then make sure that center area is full of zooms before activating the ability, and then getting rid of those bubbles, and then just repeat the cycle. This zoom is actually relatively simple to use once you get the pattern down, but it doesn't really yield a lot of coins. Dastardly Cruella is really for you to get a high score, but you will need to get her to level 50 before this zoom is really going to be used for score. Unfortunately, I don't have Dastardly Cruella at these high levels just yet. All of these gameplays were my first attempts, so as you could expect that the level or the score is going to be relatively low as well. But regardless, let me show you a side-by-side comparison of these higher skill levels and their abilities activated at the same time. And these higher skill level, the animation is going to be the same, and you'll see here that the amount of Dastardly Cruella gets turned into these yellow glowing ones are going to be the same. Nothing really changes here. But what does change is that center burst. It's going to be a lot bigger. If you compare it to skill level 6 to skill level 1, it's very obvious, but like if you look at 5 and 6, it's kind of hard to tell. But even from 4 to 6, you could tell the difference there. It's pretty big. And again, those bubbles that get in the way on the edges, on the outer area, you could keep those there. It's just that center area you want to avoid. So for skill level 4, I got a chain of 22. Skill level 5, I got a chain of 23. And at skill level 6, I got a chain of 27. So as you can see there, skill level 4 and 5 relatively the same, like not too much change there. And that really just depends on how dense your screen is in that center area and how many zooms you have there. You could even at skill level 6 get a chain of only 11, and that could be because you don't have a lot of zooms there. So when you are playing this zoom, you just want to make sure that the center area has a lot of zooms before activating the ability. So overall, I think that Dastardly Cruella is not really worth your investment. She's not going to be great for coin earning. You can use her to get a high score, but honestly, there are so many other better zooms out there that you could use to get a higher score that you probably could just skip Dastardly Cruella. This is one of those zooms that if you don't have a lot of coins, then don't invest in her. You definitely don't want to spend your skill tickets on getting her to skill level 6 because the changes there aren't that significant. So let me show you the results for all 6 of these gameplays. At skill level 1, I ended up with 1,172 coins. At skill level 6, I got 2,680. So it's better, but you definitely don't want to spend all of your skill tickets or your coins to just get 2,680 coins at skill level 6. So it's one of those zooms where you should probably just skip it. And even looking at the score, if you watch my other video for Scheming Jafar, he was able to get a significantly higher score. But again, my level for Dastardly Cruella is still really low, so I don't know what she's going to be like at level 50. However, I'm not going to expect any significant difference here. And for score, I only got 8 million for skill level 6 and 2.9 for skill level 1. Honestly, skill level 1's not too bad. You know, you got 1,172 coins with about 3 million points. Not too bad for skill level 1, but definitely not worth it for skill level 6. I think if you have Dastardly Cruella and you got her to skill level 1, that's good enough. All these other skill levels is not worth your skill tickets or also your coins. So for that reason, I wouldn't recommend you to even try to get Dastardly Cruella. So that's my review for Dastardly Cruella. I hope that you guys found this video helpful or at least entertaining. And if you guys would like to see more Tsum Tsum content just like this, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And as always, thank you so much for watching.